God. I pray that you're in good health, that you remain expectant, and that you're filled with the grace of God. Today is day 14 of the 21 days of our fasting and prayer, the 23rd day of January 2024. How beautiful it is to be alive in this season. No matter what your life is looking like, no matter what you're going through, recognize that God is a God of order and of purpose. He has a reason and a plan for everything. Nothing happens just by mistake. The fact that you're breathing, that you're alive, irrespective of what's going on around you, irrespective of what's going on in the economy, irrespective of what's going on in your nation, irrespective of what's happening in your environment, there is a reason and a purpose for which God has allowed you to breathe his breath of life in this day. So my prayer for you is that you go higher, that no matter how the forces around seem to be pushing either against or towards you, that you may look up and look higher and focus on that God has ordained for you. When I look at day 14, I also look at the day 23rd of January. All these numbers, they add up to 5. And 5 is a number of grace. In this season, as we are building, let us lean, let us tap into that grace of God to build. Today we'll be speaking about power to build. Power to build. And even as I prepare, I see that it aligns to the grace that God is releasing to us to go out to build. When you look at some of the definitions of the word grace, divine grace, grace is divine influence and power which operates in humans to regenerate and to sanctify, to inspire virtuous impulses, to impact strength. So this is the power, a divine power that is in us, that is operating in us, that helps us to regenerate, to sanctify, that helps us to inspire virtuous impulses, to impart strength and power in everything that concerns us. So even as we're going out to build, today the Lord is dealing with power to build. And this is important. It's not enough to be excited and ready to go onto the stage to begin the work for God, but your state of physical and spiritual preparedness is critical. You must interrogate what you're carrying, your strength, your spiritual strength, your physical strength, in proportion to the assignment that you're having. And my prayer is we're not just meeting here to be taught, to be prepared, but we are praying. We are fasting. Jesus said some things will not come out but by power and fasting. When you look at Jeremiah 1:10, the Lord was speaking to Jeremiah about his assignment. And the Lord in his own ways has spoken to each of us individually. And that's my hope, that you have had time in the presence of God to just have clarity about your assignment and about what he wants you to do in this season. We dealt with that at earlier times, the earlier portions of our prayer and fasting moments. Jeremiah 1:10, God says, see, I have set this day. See, I have this day set you over the nations and over kingdoms, to root out and pull down, to destroy and to throw down, to build and to plant. This generally is summarizing the assignment. Okay? Rooting out, pulling down, destroying, throwing down. When you look at what that is looking like, create a mental picture, be it physical, be it spiritual. Create a mental picture. This picture depicts overturning evil, because rooting out means you're rooting out what already exists. Pulling down means you're pulling down what already exists, what's already been built. Destroying means you're destroying something that already is in existence. Throwing down implies that you're throwing down something that is already up, that is already, set in a specific place, okay? So there's an aspect there that is very clear about overturning evil, overturning things, undoing things, reconstructing, deconstructing things, deconstructing in order to reconstruct or construct. You see, in this year of building, we entered a season of building. In some instances, we're going to be rebuilding because we're going to have to remove old structures, old things to pull down, to root out, to destroy, to throw down in order to build new things or to rebuild what God intended, right? Again, in Jeremiah 1:10, you see part of the things Jeremiah is being told to do is to build and to plant. And again, if you have a mental picture, whether it is physical or spiritual, you will see this is about establishing God's agenda. Establishing God's agenda. Now, whether you're in a school, whether in your family, whether in your community, whether in your area and sphere of calling, if there are things that you're being called or that God will use you to root out, to pull down, to destroy, to throw down, in order to rebuild the broken walls, to bring back restoration, to restore, to redeem, to establish, it means you have to be prepared spiritually and physically. You have to interrogate and assess where you're at, your strength, the power that you have to do that assignment, the strength that you have to do that assignment. If you're going to bring peace between two people, bring peace in your family, places where the enemy has established evil, where he has planted and built a fortified root of evil in the family. As you are being called maybe in that space to bring peace, to bring reunion, to destroy and pull down strife and conflict, and to establish peace and unity, you have to interrogate your strength. Physical strength, do you have the wisdom? Do you understand, have knowledge? Are you skilled in wisdom, in articulation, in the ability to speak to various people, old and young, in order to be used of God to overturn that state of conflict and strife and evil within the family unit, okay? Then you have to understand wherever there's discord, there's strife, wherever there is envy, jealousy in operation, let's say, I'm just using a family unit, there is a spirit or a spirit that is at work, okay? Are you fortified? Have you assessed your spiritual strength to come against that spiritual dimension that is causing this problem? And it doesn't have to be complex, because as long as you remain connected to God, and as long as you're aware and clear of who you are and whose you are, then you go in that strength. You see, if you read again Jeremiah 1:10, when Jeremiah, just a young boy in his teenagehood, was saying, but I'm only a youth of God. How can you be calling me to these kings and priests and nations and leaders and sectors? Gosh, I can imagine he may have been speaking also to elders in his family. And he was saying, I'm youth, how will I speak to them? And the Lord was telling him, this is the assignment that I have given to you. And do not say you are young. Do not say you're a youth. Because inside of you, before you were formed in your mother's womb, I already knew you. I already chose you. I anointed you. I sanctified you. And I called you to this assignment. Everything that you need, Jeremiah, is already inside of you. But what helps you to stand and to be successful is the awareness. Being aware and having clarity of who you are, irrespective of your age, irrespective of the things that you look challenged with. It's in having a clear awareness and understanding of who has called you and what he has called you to do, and the power that is at work in you. You need mental preparation, mental awareness, and mental understanding of the assignment. What is it taking? What does it mean? So that then you quickly align it mentally and spiritually. You align everything. And then you have confidence. You're like, yeah, okay, fine. I'm young, but I got this. I got this. God has called me. Youth is not a barrier. You know, you're aligning your senses and your faculties for the assignment, because then it gives you confidence and it gives you success. When you're random in your mind and you don't have awareness and understanding, then you're not fully prepared. You go on the stage, people start saying, but you're just young. What are you to tell us? Because you had not had a meeting with yourself to get clarity and awareness of the assignment, of the challenges and the barriers that could probably come against you, and quickly realign to God's mind about you and about the assignment. You'll have no responses. You'll back out at the first resistance of, oh, but you're just young. Get out of us. Who are you to tell us? You'll back out. You'll be like, actually, I'm young. Because you had not thought about it. But when you've sat down, you've looked at your assignment and say, yes, I'm young. But there's a reason why God has put me in this school. There's a reason why he's placed me in the family. There's even a reason why I'm the fourth born of this family. Because sometimes you'll be sent to be the light in the family and people tell you, who are you to speak? You're the fourth born. Who are you to speak? In fact, who should be speaking is the firstborn. Please be silent. But when you've had a mental awareness, a mental preparation, and a mental understanding of the assignment, who you are, what God is saying, and what you're carrying, you'll be able to respond and to stand and to be used of God to go forward in that assignment, okay? I also want to just highlight a warning here that in this season of building the kingdom of God, unfortunately, we can no longer be lukewarm anymore. You can't expect to be nice and liked by the people, the places and spaces that you've been called to reorder, to reorganize, to deconstruct, to reconstruct and construct for God. Because they may not even see what you have seen. They may not have a full appreciation and understanding of where you're going with the thing, because that is between you and God. God is the one who has given you the map, the vision, the thing to do, which may not be obvious even to the people that you're called to until it is visible, until it is done. And you might definitely encounter, so, you know, I need to get the word might, you will definitely encounter a level of resistance, a level of pushback, misunderstanding, sometimes loneliness. Sometimes you will be rejected. Prepare yourself. Have a mental preparation, a mental awareness and understanding, so that you don't get so depressed when you start the assignment. You start asking yourself, what did God call me to? What? People will misunderstand you. They will slander you. They'll speak evil. Prepare yourself, because they are not with you. Where God is going with you, what God has been speaking in that quiet place, they do not know it. And they will speak evil. They will slander. They will badmouth you. They will misjudge you. They will misunderstand you. They will even cause a revolt against you. Even those who are close to you may cause a revolt against you. Stand. Have a mental preparedness and an awareness of who you are and what God has spoken to you. You have the understanding of the map and the plan that God has given to you, the instruction that he has given to you, because you will be answerable yourself to God for that assignment. God would be promoting some people into new countries, students. You're going to a new country. And you're on assignment even as you're going to study. The reason for being there is a study, to gain skill, to gain competence, to gain exposure, to gain knowledge, to gain insights, to understand how the world operates, in order to come and play out your assignment in the spaces that God has called you to. But during that season, you must have a mental preparedness and understanding that you're not of the world, even though you're in the world. And even as you're young, positioned in that place, wherever it is you are, it doesn't matter what your age is, you could be 80, 70, 60, being called to spaces and places. You must be able to have that clarity and awareness that even when people start calling you names, they call you a loser, they call you goody goody, they call you lost. These are the ones who are lost. Or these ones are the ones who think they are this, or they think they know it all. Because there'll be, crowds will be around you. There'll be voices. There'll be people calling you to things which most people understand. They might try even to understand your assignment, to understand you, and they will try to give you counsel and advice to what they think you should be doing that will make you gain. And as you resist their ways, or you resist their misjudgments and their narratives, they will brand you, they will slander you, they will reject you, they will resist you. In that time, you must remember who has called you. You go according to the one who has called you, in the power of the one who has called you. You cannot be lukewarm, and you can't expect to be nice and liked by people. At every given moment, remember that vision, that plan where God is going with you is only between you and God. People have no understanding of where you are in that quiet place, where you and God are having conversations, and He's giving you understanding and mapping and plans and direction. And He opens up for you years ahead where people cannot see. People are seeing right here on their noses. You can see ahead, and people will misunderstand you. In fact, they will write you off. You must be steady in God and steady in what you and God have discussed. And don't even be tempted. Don't try to be lukewarm until you want to be liked or accepted. People will never accept you fully. Even those who are close, even those you love. Because you're not fitting into what they want you to be. Or your life is not playing out how they think it should be, as if they're God. Okay? You must be assured in who God is in your life and what He's telling you, and be stable in that thing. Trust Him. Trust Him. Even when people are challenging you and telling you, look, smell the coffee. This thing has hit the wall. Can you turn left? Yes, there are times that you need to think about that, but always go by the Spirit of God. I know of somebody that God has called him to a specific thing and task, which is in a specific place. And because he has encountered a challenge in that place, every voice is coming against him saying, you know what? It's not that serious. I mean, you can also achieve this in another place. I mean, must you always be, it's not only that place that you can also thrive in this other place. And he actually tried to be open-minded about it. But every time he went before the Lord would say, there is a reason I have called you to this particular place, in this particular way, to take up this particular assignment. Stay in there. And when you map out 5-10 years ahead, you can see where God is going with that. He must stay in that position and trust God for the breakthrough in that area, in that space. But those who are around have voices, they have opinions, they have narratives. Listen to what God is telling Jeremiah. Okay. In Jeremiah 1:17, he says, therefore prepare yourself and arise, and speak to them all that I command you. All that I command you. Do not be dismayed before their faces, lest I, God, dismay you before them. You must align to the call in God's way for yourself. For behold, I have made you this day a fortified city and an iron pillar and bronze walls against the whole land. Remember, today we're talking about power to build. Where God is calling you, where you're going to be resisted, where you're going to be slandered and rejected, and people will say things about you, even those who are close. Stay in your position. You can imagine a youth being sent to talk to kings and priests and all those people. And he looks crazy and he feels lost. He should be doing what youth should be doing. But here he looks very lost. In fact, I'm sure the people tell him, look, at your age, this is what you need to be doing. Go and study, go and work, go and do these things. Leave the priests, the kings alone. That is not of your place. You're lost. And even he himself could be feeling lost. Because sometimes, even though you're bringing good, you may become unpopular for a time, for a season, but you must pray for courage and boldness to go out and do that the Lord is calling you to do. Even you yourself, you may challenge the very assignment. You'll be like, let me grow a little bit more, or let me acquire a little more wealth. Let me fit in, to the dimensions of how the world does this thing, so that I'll be more accepted. You get it? So that I may not have this much resistance. So that people can kind of see where I'm going. They'll be able to accept easier. In fact, you're trying to help God. You're trying to fit in to go God's way, to go the way of the world. And you tell yourself so that this assignment God has given to you may be more accepted. Because in this world, people accept people who look like this, who have this, who look like they're growing like this, who look like they're this age, who look like they stay in these kind of places, who drive this kind of cars. This is how people are accepted. I saw an article recently about an aspiring member of parliament in Kenya. And he's saying he's preparing for the next election, 2027. And in preparation for that, he's already got a V8. He has already got, he's changing his wardrobe. He's changing this and that about him so that he can have the profile of the people who hold those kind of offices. Look at that standard, that very corrupted, defiled standard that the world has set, or the country or the people have set, to be able to accept a person. So that if you want to be a leader and you're walking or not driving, you're humble, but you carry the substance, because you're not defined by material things. You're defined by what you're carrying, the solutions. But people are likely to reject you because you're like, hey, if I just go, knocking people's doors, telling them I can be their leader, door by door, door by door, door by door, I will not make it. Rather than hearing God and going God's way and not getting into debt or getting into other things because you're trying to please our people, you're trying to help God for the people to accept you, you'll be losing it. Because also you may delay the time in which you start to deploy what God is saying. What if you've not got the V8 yet? Okay, you've not got the Prado yet. So it means you're not going to go and start bringing solutions to the people and speaking to the people. You're delaying God's work. And so God says, you go, prepare yourself, arise now. Speak to them all that I command you. Share the ideas I have given you. Begin to provide the answers I have put inside of you. And do not be dismayed before their faces, because they will talk, they will resist you. They will bring terror. They will threaten you. You go, do not be dismayed before their faces, lest me, God, I dismay you before them. Who? In some versions it says, do not be terrified by their faces, lest I terrify you before them. Who wants the terror of God? God is telling you that he has already anointed and fortified you in the spirit to go for this assignment. For behold, I have made you this day a fortified city and an iron pillar and bronze walls against the whole land. Here where it says the whole land, picture your sphere of calling. In that sphere of calling, God has already anointed you and fortified you in the spirit. He has already given you power and fortified you in that place. And you're an iron pillar and a bronze wall against every works of darkness in your area of calling. And he goes ahead to say, against the kings of Judah, its princes, its priests, and against the people of the land, all those that have already gone ahead to resist you, to fight you in advance. They can see, the spiritual people can see what's going on. They can see what's coming. They understand the shifts are about to happen in a big way. Right now, the whole world is shifting. The stage is just being deconstructed, literally. And now there is a battle. There's a dash and a rush for who is going to reconstruct or construct their thing. And those who are spiritual can see that there is people of God who are coming onto the stage. And they're preparing to fight them, to slander them, to tear them apart, to destroy them. Go in the power that God has already given to you. He says, I have already made you this day a fortified city and an iron pillar and bronze walls against the whole land and against the people, against the kings, the princes, the priests, those who have been set, with title, with power, with authority, with whatever they think that they have power over you and over the assignment that God has put over you, God has already fortified you against them. And God has given you power and protection to go and build in your area of calling. And God has said here, look, let us continue to read. He says, they will fight against you, but they shall not prevail against you. For I am with you to deliver you. They will fight against you, and they shall fight against you, but they shall not prevail against you. For I am with you to deliver you. See, when I say you must call yourself to a meeting and interrogate the various aspects of your call and assignment, you need mental preparation and awareness and understanding to understand what the assignment is coming, so that you're not surprised, you're not getting depressed that, oh, this is the year of building, but this is not what I expected. Oh my goodness, they're rejecting me, they're fighting me. God has said here, they will fight against you, but they shall not prevail against you. So when people begin to fight against you and resist you, do not be caught up in that. Know that God says, for I am with you to deliver you, so they will not prevail against you. You go in that understanding, it gives you confidence. It gives you the strength. It gives, when the people around you, the closest people around you, they're asking, oh my goodness, I thought she's anointed. I thought he's anointed. I thought he said he has power to build. Have you seen the way he just landed and the whole community resisted him? The whole community, they are fighting him. Oh my goodness, has God left him? Maybe God has left him. No, God is with you. You will go through that battle, but you will prevail, because God has already made you a fortified city and an iron pillar and bronze walls against the one. And he's the same one who has said, they will fight against you. Because who is waiting for you to come in order to root out, to pull down, to destroy, and to throw down? Who? Who will happily say, yes, yes, sir, yes, madam, we can see you have arrived. Yes, we can see you're coming to pull down our altars. We can see you're coming to root out evil. We can see you're coming to stop corruption. Please welcome. When corruption is the avenue for their wealth, it is the avenue for how they reign, it's the avenue for how they rule. They will fight you. They will try to tear you apart. They will come against you. So even as you're praying for the people who are walking this journey for you, pray that there are people who have understanding of God, so they don't also become your downfall. They don't also start slandering you and saying, oh my goodness, we went. He told us to go, she told us to go, but here they are fighting. Is she really? Is he really? They become the people who join the people who are fighting you, rather than having revelation of God's word and of the assignment and of the dynamics, the rules of engagement. When you're going to a territory, of course, there's going to be resistance. You're coming to pull down. You're going to root down. But those who are going with you in assignment, those who are called destiny helpers, destiny partners, those whom you're called to, and those who are called to walk with you, may they have understanding, the spiritual fortitude and insight to understand what the stage looks like and what is to be expected, and to be ready with you as well, to be able to resist and to pull down and to root down in understanding, so that the language is one, the language is aligned. They don't begin to be another force fighting you and resisting you, okay? God has already put inside of you power to build. Go in that power, in that confidence. And even if you're misread by those who are called, I'm talking especially across the board. Young people, you may have friends who don't even know God the way you know him, friends who have not heard from God how you have heard from God. And they'll begin to challenge as you're being resisted in those places. As they're saying, but this school has always been like this since 1964. No, we cannot. They have always accepted that everybody is the way they are, whatever, and yet you're being called to be light in that place. No, don't be caught up and don't be depressed about even those people you call your friends not understanding your call. Love them, for they know not where you've been with God and what your assignment is about. If people knew who Jesus was, they wouldn't stone him. They were stoning him. And Jesus said, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They probably were thinking that they're protecting him. When they're telling him, stop calling yourself the king. Now, surely you're going to go before Pilate. Now, what is it? Eh? Now, what are these things you're doing now? Healing people and all that. See, now they're accusing you that you're operating in the power of Beelzebub. So you stop just healing people. Just become a normal person. Hey, what's up? Do you get it? They did not know. They didn't have understanding that he was called to save the world and to heal the brokenhearted, to raise the dead, to cast out demons. They didn't know, but he, the Son of God, who was called to come on the earth as flesh, to reconcile man back to God and to die for the salvation of all men, he knew his assignment. He stood in that assignment. Even when he was misinterpreted, spat at, slandered, he stood. Because, guys, let me tell you, each one of us who has been called to build, you will answer before God individually. That is why today my prayer is that you're having understanding that you as a person, one person, you have already been fortified, given the power to build in that area. And once you understand that, all fear must go. Fear must dissipate. Look at your assignment spiritually and physically and count the cost. Most of us just look at the good side, the impact, the fame, the influence, the glamour that will come with it. When you see people having Nobel Peace Prizes, that's what we remember. But we don't remember the journey these people have walked. People like Professor Wangari Maathai, her hair was torn out. Her head was bleeding. She was fought. She was always being sought after. Day after day, I'm sure she didn't even think that her assignment would go anywhere. But one fine day, keeping true to the assignment and to the call, and fighting for the preservation of nature and of trees and green spaces and public spaces. She got a Nobel Peace Prize. Not everybody will get a Nobel Peace Prize, but what you should aspire to is a prize in heaven, the prize that God gives to you, the prize of the one who calls you. And just lest people say, no, we're not here to just go through things so that we can have prizes in heaven. God says that your reward shall be on the earth, here on the earth, and also in the afterlife. It's a double portion, but aspire, count the cost. Take note of the cost, the pain, the resistance that is bound to come with your calling. Because once you're aware of it, we tap into the authority and to the power that God has given to us. We develop strength and confidence to go and to do what God has called us to do. We go forth fortified and strong to do, knowing that God has our back. Without this level of awareness and confidence, I'm telling you, you lack understanding of who you are, the power that you have, and you're bound to be a serious casualty on the onset of your assignment. May God give us the strength to stand in confidence in his strength, power, and authority, because we are going in his strength, not in ours. The other thing I feel strongly to tell us, all of us, is that do not be tempted to downplay your call so that you're playing it safe. Right now, the kingdom of God must be brought down on the earth as it is in heaven, with the wisdom of God. Wisdom dictates, as we learned the other day, what you say, how you react, how you say it, to whom you say it, how you play the game, how you make progress to build rather than bringing down things with your own hands. But you must understand that you must take a stand. Do not be tempted to downplay your call so that you're safe. What do I mean by downplay? I mean, some people may not want to operate in the fullness and in the expression of who they are called to be, lest they offend people, lest they miss out on popularity, on fame, on comforts, on acceptability, you know? So people would rather be looking like they're not even Christian. They may want to just be lukewarm. They might just want to be misinterpreted. But then that stand, downplaying who you are, okay? You want to be just known as somebody rather than as a Christian. You don't even want to profess Jesus. You just want to be somebody who is generally accepted by all things, by all people, you know? You don't want to rock the boat, but inside you tell yourself, but I'm an arrow in God's hand, a secret agent. Yeah, you console yourself. But sometimes if you don't take a stand, your lukewarmness will be disastrous to your call, because you will lack the opportunities, the ability to uptake certain opportunities and speak for and drive God's agenda fully. When you look at people of other faiths, they are so bold. You look at the way the Jews are going to war, the Israelites. They're going to war. Before they go to war, their rabbis are coming. This is the Jews in this day. The rabbis are coming out. They're reading for them the Torah. They're blessing them and saying, go out. The soldiers are taking the Torah. They're taking the talits. They're going in the name of the Lord. They're saying Yahweh is with us. They have no shame, even as they're going out to battle. They are professing, they are going, and the Yahweh is with them. It is clear. You have seen miracles and wonders in this day as it was in the old days concerning this what we are witnessing right now. But imagine they quietly say, yeah, you know, yeah, Yahweh's people. Yeah, we all know we are Yahweh's people. Yeah. You know, I mean, you downplay who you are and you're kind of ashamed of who your God is. And you also limit yourself in the operation of the fullness of the backing and the power of Yahweh, of the one who has called you. If a nation will change, the beginning of that change must happen from the smallest unit, from yourself, your family, your community, your workplace. Even more importantly, the change must begin to happen within you. So as we're talking about going forth to uproot, to pull down, to destroy the things that are not of God, wherever we are called to do, I want us to first look inward. What things must be uprooted, brought down, pulled down, and destroyed inside of you? Spiritual things, physical things. What are these things that God wants you to rebuild and to build and planted in you that are of Him? So even as we're looking at our assignments, let's look at ourselves. What struggles are you having in you that makes you a hindrance to God's kingdom being built? God has given each one of us power and authority to trample over darkness in our lives. And He promises that by no means will anything harm us. The reference there is Luke 10:19, where Jesus is saying, I have given you power and authority to trample over snakes and scorpions, and nothing shall by any means harm you. As we're going to change our schools, our workplaces, systems and processes and policies, as we're going to change, uproot, build, rebuild things within our families, within our marriages, within our parenting domain, within our communities, have we looked at what we look like ourselves spiritually and physically? That very thing we're championing, are we the embodiment of that thing? Okay, are we the embodiment of that thing? If God's kingdom is to be established on earth as it is in heaven, then we must begin by listing down those areas in our lives, in our environments, in our families, in our marriages, in our children, in our callings that require a realignment. Then we seek God for direction of what to do, how to do it, and the results He desires of and for us. Then we can extend this even to the places and spaces that we are called to. Now, do not be tempted to say, until I am perfect, then I will go. As God is working on you, because He doesn't use perfect beings. He doesn't wait for us to be perfect. He perfects us as we go. But what I'm trying to emphasize is the consciousness that we go with, the consciousness that we interrogate ourselves with. So that even as we're going to be champions of God for that area, we are already becoming the embodiment of that thing in our lives. Say we are fighting corruption, which is prevalent in our communities, in our day-to-day, everywhere we are nowadays. What is your posture of corruption? internally, spiritually, and physically, even as you're going to be a champion in that area. And don't overthink it. As God is working on you, you're conscious that even as you're working in that dimension in your area of calling, that you're also becoming better in that area in your life. Because those things must also be pulled down and rooted out and destroyed in your life as you're doing them. As you go out to uproot and bring down altars through the power that is working in you, the power of God. Are you pulling down strongholds and altars of your father's house, of your mother's house, of your ancestors, so that they do not become a hindrance to the work that you're going to do over there? Jeremiah 1:8 says, do not be afraid of their faces, for I am with you to deliver you. The spirit of fear must go. If you're operating in the power of God, fear must dissipate. The word of God says, I have not given you a spirit of fear, but I've given you one of power, of love, and of sound mind. So you must break down fear. Fear cannot exist in you. You must be able to know that God is seriously depending on you to build in this area that you're called to. He is depending on you. So you must have confidence in the power that is at work in you, so that you can go forth and build. And for those of you who fear death, it is the ultimate. I mean, everybody's going to go that way. And the day that of your life was already numbered before you were born. And if you stand with God and you pray that you live all the days that were numbered for you, then that fear goes, so that you can be free to go forth in his wisdom and in his guidance to deploy the work that he has put before you. I want us to finish this part with Joshua 1:3-5. Every place that the sole of your feet will tread upon, I have given to you, says the Lord. From the wilderness and this Lebanon, as far as the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and to the great sea towards the going of the sun, shall be your territory. Every place you have been called, God has given to you. Take note of that. And he says concerning that place, that no man shall be able to stand before you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you, for I will never leave you nor forsake you. Remain with that confidence that as you have been powered and fortified to go forth to build in that area that you've been called to, starting from inside of you, all the way to your area and sphere of influence, God has already fortified you. He's already powered you. He's given you the power and the strength and the authority to have dominion in that place. And he has already given you a promise that nothing, no one in that space will be able to withstand you. You see, if you have the right to dominate in that place, because you've been called and you're God's agent in that place, everything has to bow. But things will not bow if you forget who you are and if you forget who you're called to. And the fact that people are resisting you and fighting you does not mean that they're not bowing. They will bow. It just means they have to react. Pulling down and uprooting is not an easy task. The owners are not going to just see you there pulling and uprooting and tearing down and destroying. No, they will fight. And they'll put up the best fight to maintain status quo. But there is an after next step, which is to build and to plant. In order for you to get there, you must prevail. So you must stay in the game. You must withstand that fight and the resistance. You must be able to overcome. And don't become a people pleaser. Oh, what happened to her? Whatever happened to him? They don't understand your call. Stand in your position. Go for it. To be resisted and to be fought and to be challenged and to be rejected is not a sign that God is not with you. In fact, God is with you. That's why they're resisting you. That is why they're rejecting you. Okay? So as people will start to say things about you, stand. It is in the scriptures. God says they will fight you, but they will not prevail. For I am with you. You will prevail. So in the time of this fighting, resisting, rejection, and all those things, don't lose sight. Keep at it, keep going. Keep your eye on the result. Keep your eye on what must be built and planted. And you know you can't build and plant before you destroy and uproot. You cannot build God's altar upon an evil altar. The evil altar must come down. And it must be completely uprooted in order for you to build. You can't build God's altar. Oh God, it's hard. Let's just put this one on top to avoid conflict, to avoid rejection, so that I'm accepted, so that people don't see me in a wrong light. God, see, after all, what you care is that your altar is built. See, I'm building it. No, you must go through the inconvenience of uprooting that old evil altar, of being rejected, or being rejected, but going forth in the power that is at work in you, and then building, and then planting. If you're going to plant good in a place that already evil has been planted, it's the same space. You can't plant good on top of evil. You must be able to uproot what has been planted and then plant. So I know some of you dream that you go and find virgin lands, bare, clean, so that you just say, God, what have you called me to plant? You've called me to plant wheat. I'm just going to plant. Wow. Some people will have imagined that luxury, because the people are being called to build in very virgin territories, new places. That's their assignment. But some people are called to build and plant in places that already have been built. Remember when the children of Israel were going into Canaan? God said they're going to find giants. They're going to have to fight the giants who are already inhabiting those places. How nice it would have been if they were just going to Canaan to find a bare land waiting for them with milk and honey. They had to go and fight. You realize half the time of Joshua's leadership, they were fighting one territory, one king, one set of people after another. They were taking ground, taking ground, taking ground, taking ground. That was how they were getting their inheritances. So make peace with that reality. Then you'll be okay. Right? So I want us now to go into prayer. God,